Hey guys, it's Mario from the World Axe Throwing League, and today's video is going to be about your first axe throwing tournament or experience. We're going to cover a lot of important things that we think you should know to prepare yourself for your first tournament. First, we're going to cover whether you're going to be traveling through air or by land. If you're flying, make sure your axes are tightly packed. What I generally do is I actually leave a note for TSA and I say, hey, I'm going to this tournament. These are my axes. Thank you very much and have a nice day. You should expect when you open up your luggage to have a letter from the TSA that basically says, hey, we inspected your luggage, because yes, they see axes stored in your luggage. Things are going to be moving around in your luggage. Just make sure everything is tightly packed. If you're carrying multiple axes, we would recommend you bring a hard case. That way you can store them in different components without your axes being damaged. If you're worried about it, what I've done in the past when I've carried multiple axes is I would wrap clothing around each separate axe, and I would actually put them in different compartments so they never hit one another while they're traveling or being thrown around by the luggage carriers. If you're driving, carpooling is a great way to travel to tournaments. A lot of people do it. It's very, very common, and I would say that's probably one of the top means of travel to tournaments. So when you're carpooling, my biggest suggestion to you is do not leave anything in your vehicle. Do not leave any valuables in your car, and make sure you take it with you. If you're looking for someone to carpool with, don't be shy. Post up a message. We usually have event pages for each tournament, and if not, you could post it up in the discussion group, and maybe you'll find someone who's either near you in the same state or otherwise maybe in the same city traveling to the same tournament you're looking to go to. Okay, accommodations. When Waddle runs their major tournaments, whether it's one form of championship or another, we generally have an event booking page that allows you to get a cheaper price than what you would normally get. We get a blocked off hotel discount code that is given to us. So with that blocked off set of rooms, you're able to actually apply that code, get that discount. So make sure that if you're going to either a world championship or any sort of event run specifically by Waddle, see if there's any sort of discounts available to you, because the general rule of thumb is that there is. Most tournaments will also have not only a dedicated Facebook page, but they will also have a dedicated tournament page. What we suggest players do is that they pin that on their phone, bookmark it. Make it so it's a top resource that you can check up on often, because it's going to have all the details from the scheduling to how the events are going to be going to each day, what disciplines are going to be starting at what time. It's going to have venue details and any other information that is important to the tournament. So make sure you actually bookmark that page. So I'm going to give a quick breakdown of things that you need to bring with you to your tournament. And yes, some of them are obvious, and these mistakes have happened before. Number one, make sure you bring your axes. We have had people forget their axes in the past. That is the number one thing you have to bring. Bring a phone charger, bring chalk powder, bring a hand towel, bring a support or braces for your sleeves, because if you've never been to a tournament, when you're throwing that many throws in a day, you may get some pains on your wrists, so make sure you bring any sort of support, braces. Maybe if you have any sort of knee issues, make sure you bring those along with you. Bring a file or a whetstone. It's very rare, but you could hit a screw, or you could hit potentially a knot that's in the board that you can't see. If that's the case, you want to make sure you have the tools available to be able to get any sort of small nicks or issues that you might have with the axis, specifically with a file or with the whetstone. Don't forget to bring any sort of tape in case you need it, if you want to tape a small piece on the floor so you know exactly where you're going to be planting your feet for your throws for that particular match. Also, this might sound crazy, but if you're traveling, especially by road, bring lawn chairs, because a lot of the time you're going to be standing up, you're going to be moving around a lot, you might just want to take a break. And because of the amount of people that we have, we might not necessarily have chairs available for everyone, but if we do, they're typically bleacher style seating that's available. So if you want something more comfortable, bring something more comfortable, bring those comfy lawn chairs with you. Last but not least, bring an extra pair of socks, bring comfortable shoes, and bring an extra t-shirt. Because of the t-shirts that you're wearing and they're tournament t-shirts, you're wearing those all weekend. So make sure you have something to change either in between matches, wear something comfortable. You might feel uncomfortable wearing that tournament t-shirt the whole weekend, especially if you have some heavy matches, maybe you're nervous, you're sweating, you're gonna want something to be able to change into. But my personal favorite, make sure you wear comfortable shoes. You're on your feet for a good chunk of the weekend. The floors are generally concrete, they're hard, and it's going to be very tolling on your feet. Okay, tournament times. Here are some of the things that you need to know before. Before the tournament day, make sure you check your registration confirmation, the tournament schedule, and the location details. Make sure you review the event page for any last-minute updates or changes to the schedule, as well as parking information or check-in information. If you're staying at the event's hotel, take advantage of the transportation provided to you by that venue. On the day of the tournament, most tournaments will have a meet and greet scheduled prior to the event. You can use this time to check in, meet the host, and get your axes also checked in. Remember, most large tournaments will require equipment checks. Your axes will be inspected to ensure that they meet competition standards. Be prepared to wait in line. One other thing to remember, most wattle tournaments and most large tournaments will not offer the warm-up practice period the day of the event. Instead, throws will receive 10 practice throws directly before their first match. For smaller run tournaments, you will be given the opportunity to do some practice throws. The best practice in what I'll say the industry in wattle tournaments is you take your 10 practice throws, then you rotate out to allow someone else to take their 10, and that's how we constantly rotate. That way no one is hogging up the lanes. We're all being fair to one another because there's going to be a lot of other throwers that are going to want to take their practice throws as well. So just remember, if you're at a smaller tournament or bigger tournament, the best standard practice is to take 10 throws and then rotate with the next person. If there's no one behind you, ask around. Normally what people do is they line up their axes. If you see an axe there and you see a bunch of axes stacked, that's kind of the waiting line for the lane in order for them to get their practice throws in as well. The one thing I will say is bring some extra cash with you. We generally have a lot of vendors that attend these tournaments. These vendors build custom axes, custom handles, laser, like beautiful etching and lasering on the heads. Bring that extra cash with you because be prepared to be tempted with a lot of phenomenally made product by our makers in the industry. Okay, let's move into understanding the brackets at how these tournaments work. So when you attend a tournament, almost all tournaments that you will go to will be something called a double elimination tournament. Most matches are going to be best 2 out of 3. That means if you're going head to head with someone, whoever wins 2 of those matches first moves on to the next. So when you move on to that bracket, you have the opportunity to stay in the tournament as long as you do not lose twice. So what happens is if there's something called an A bracket and there's a B bracket. An A bracket means you have not lost yet and you're moving through the tournament. Once you lose in the A bracket, you go down to the B bracket. That does not mean you're out. And there has been many occasions where people have lost their very first match, gone down to the B bracket and gone all the way through and won the championship. So just remember, keep track of where you are along that bracket. The brackets are publicly made available so you can follow along, so you can get an idea of when your next match is going to be. Depending on how large the tournament is, as you move deeper into the brackets, you might have a longer period of time that you're waiting. Please note that that is normal and that is expected, especially for larger tournaments as the brackets move and as they become smaller and smaller and smaller. As a competitor, it's going to be extremely important that you understand what the score is. Do not be shy to ask what the score is. If you have any questions in general, ask anyone in the community, ask any of the judges, ask anyone who's running the brackets or whoever is at the main check-in desk. Do not be shy. That is the main feedback I will give to everyone is if you're unsure, if you have any questions, feel free to ask anyone. In general, people in the community are so incredibly helpful and they will be more than willing to help guide you and even give you tips and tricks. The biggest thing to remember for these tournaments is to have fun. First and foremost, have fun, be social, introduce yourself, meet a lot of people. There might be a lot of people that you've seen on TV, and maybe they're people that you look up to because they're legends in the sport. Go say hello. They're gonna talk to you, they're gonna give you feedback, introduce yourself, tell them where you're from, where you are in the process. That's the best way to meet new friends, to attend these tournaments and have a great time. A lot of the current champions today, they got a lot of the feedback from previous champions before or other champions before that they had never met before. The key is to make sure that you are ultimately having a great time. Don't have any expectations of your first tournament other than having fun. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, please make sure you leave them below in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and hope you enjoy your first tournament.